welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be adding a bit of luxury to our cards, and we're going to do this in a number of different ways so that we'll end up with some really gorgeous opulent cards that are really different from anything you'd buy in the shops. And to do that I'm going to be using some of this month's gorgeous clubs from Spellbinders. I really love this month's clubs. And there's loads of like floral elements which I really love. So the first card is going to be a hello card, and this is mostly using the small day of the month, but I am using this piece which is the largest die from the stitching day of the month, and you see it's got this really lovely pattern around the outside. So we've got this gorgeous H for our hello, which can be decorated with all of the floral pieces. So I'm just going to add those floral pieces together so that you can see how they go together. So we've got this flower here that has two pieces to go onto it. You can line up this side down here, and then I've cut the other piece slightly lighter. So there are a couple of things on this card that I am doing to give it a more opulent feel. One is using some nice rich colours, like these kind of dusky pinks and the teals. Another is to add in some gold. I always think that that adds some opulence to a card. And then also the actual nature of the dies that we're using that kind of layer up also, I think, gives it a more luxurious edge. And I always love the amount of thought that goes into the Spellbinders dies. So for example, these three flowers here are all cut out at once. All the small flowers are cut out at once. All the flower centres are cut out at once. So you're not having to kind of mess about with teeny tiny dies and putting them through loads of times. They can all get cut in one pass. And then I've cut this piece twice, and I'm just going to offset it to create a full flower. And then I'm just going to add one of these Spellbinders Fashion Gold gems to the middle of here. If you watch my videos a lot, you'll know these are a complete staple in my craft stash. So then I'm going to start putting this together, and you can see quite clearly where these leaves go on here. So I'm going to start off with those. And again, all of these small leaves get cut in one pass. There's just one die for all of them. And for me, that's what makes them a pleasure to work with, because I do not have the patience to be die cutting like 8 leaves all individually. So to have them all in one die, you can cut in one pass, just makes it so much better. And then I'm going to put this big flower on this circle here. And there's another circle here, which I'm going to put this one on. And I don't think there's actually a specific place for this, so actually while that's still wet, I'm just going to tuck this under there. And I think cutting this in the gold and then building the richer colours on top of it is kind of giving it that more opulent look that I'm looking for in these cards. And this one is going to go on here. I think from my point of view, these pieces have a specific place, but then these ones you can see there's like a few little dots kind of dotted about, so I'm going to add those to those, and I've got 8 flowers. And then we've got this absolutely beautiful letter. So then all that's left to do is add them to my card. So my original idea was to have this underneath, and I'm going to show you it with that underneath in case that's what you want to do. But I think I've decided that it's a little too busy, because the H is already very busy as it is. So excuse the wobbly letters, but that kind of gives you an idea of what it's like with that piece underneath. But I actually don't think you need that added detail, so I'm going to leave that off. And I'm just going to add these to my card. Then there's that card finished. I think it looks really pretty. So then this next card that we're going to create is using the stitching day of the month, and this month it's this frame with the flowers. You can see on here that it comes with the love you lettering, but I'm going to make this into a birthday card. So I've just die cut these to show you that you can use these flowers so that you get the ones with the stitching in and you get the plain ones. So you could just use those and add like maybe an adhesive gem or something to the center. But we're going for opulence today, so I'm going to stitch all of them. You can see I've done most of them already, but I'm just going to show you on this one how to do it. It's really simple. You just come up the middle and then you go down each of the outside holes in turn. You just up and then down one of the outside holes. It's really simple. You don't have to be good at stitching to be able to do it. And also, because it's not that big, it really doesn't take very much time either. So then I'm just going to go back up the centre, and then I've got these little gold beads. I'm just putting one of those into the centre. Now I'm going to give you a little tip, because my needle is too big to go up this little seed bead, and I could go and find another one that's slimmer, but in case you don't have a slimmer one, I'm just going to show you that it's actually quite easy just to thread your bead onto the thread just like you would with your needle, and then you're going to go back down the same centre hole, but because the bead's too big to go down the hole, it will stay in place in the centre, and then you can just tie off your thread. So then I'm going to use some glue dots in the middle of these flowers. So I've cut these pieces from teal cardstock. And then I'm going to add these flowers to it. And I like the contrast of being able to see the teal underneath. You could add one of these underneath and just see the plain pink underneath, or you could cut these in a different colour and have a different colour coming through if you wanted. So then these pieces will sit either end like that. I think it looks lovely with the stitching and the beads. So then we've also got this piece to stitch. So you can see this frame comes in two pieces. This larger piece like we were going to use on the last piece. And then we've got this piece as well. So you can use them together, you can use them separately. And I'm going to stitch this with this blue that kind of matches the piece that's behind it. And I mostly use 2 strands of thread when I'm stitching. And with a big piece like this, I'll adhere the thread behind. So usually I would use some tape, but I've got my glue dots to hand just now, so I'm just going to add one on here. And then I'll just add the end of that onto there. That'll hold it in place. So then all we're doing on this one, we've got the score lines to show us where to go. So each one, we're just doing a big stitch, going along to the next one, doing a big stitch back the other way, along to the next one. It is really, really simple. And I think that's the nice thing about these dies, you don't have to have loads of sewing experience to use them. And because the stitches are so big, it's actually really quick to get around the frame. And if you wanted to add even more detail, then you could also just add beads to each of these holes in the same way we did the centre of the flower. I think that would look really pretty, but I don't have enough of those gold beads to do all of these. And then I'm just going to pop another glue dot on there. I'm going to secure the end of my thread onto there, and then I can add the start of the next thread to the same glue dot, and then just carry on round. So then we've got our lovely frame. So then I've just hot foiled this happy birthday sentiment using the mini everyday sentiments foil plates, and they come with these little banner dies as well. And that was one of the first hot foil plates that I bought, and one of the best as well, because I just use it all the time. It's such a nice size. So then I'm just going to add this to my other layer. So then I'm just going to glue my flowers on. I think all the stitch details and the beads just really elevate this card. And again, we're going for that kind of more opulent look today, which I think those details really add. And then we're just going to add our simple little sentiment on foam strips across the middle. And then how pretty does that look? And I really love that this is so versatile, because you've got those love you letters. So the way it's designed is to have LOVE and the U across here, but it works so nicely as a birthday card, but would equally work really nicely for all sorts of different occasions. So then the final way that we're going to add a little bit of opulence today is with some hot foiling. So this Glimmer of the Month Club for this month is this gorgeous floral with the sentiments. So I'm going to tape that floral piece over some gold foil. You can see that my glimmer machine is already heated up. So I'm just going to flip this over, add it onto here and press my timer. Once this has stopped flashing, then I can put it through my die cutting machine. Now I should say that although I'm using the shiny gold foil for today's card, because I think that goes better with what I'm using, you do get this matte gold foil with the Glimmer of the Month Club this month. That's really lovely, but I just want to use the shiny to go with my other cards. So then we've got that really gorgeous foiled floral, and then I'm going to have that coming along my card like this. So then I want a sentiment up here. So I'm going to use the Your Friendship is Everything to Me that comes in the kit. So I'm going to add that on here. Some little reminders on this are to make sure it's up the right way. And then also that you want to open your card front up to put it through, so that you don't have a double layer of cardstock and overfoil. And then while that is foiling, then I'm going to colour the florals with my alcohol markers. So then I'm going to outline this in the teal, and I've chosen a teal that's as close to the colour of my card blank as I've got. And I've not been super careful when I've been colouring, because I knew I was going to outline with this darker colour. Then obviously with the darker colour you need to be careful. And I do think that outlining is really important on a card like this, where you've got a dark card base and you're going for an opulent feel. If you're going for other looks, you might want the white outline, but I think for this more opulent look, then you're going to want an outline that matches your card blank. And I will go back and outline the rest of it, but I just want to cut. So this is the coordinating die. You can see it cuts only part of the flower, and that is so that you can make cards where this kind of stands up off the card, things like that. But for this one, I just want to kind of almost make it like a corner. So I'm going to die cut that like that. So I'm going to want that to go down there. So I'm just going to trim it down to fit there before I do the rest of the colouring. So then I'm going to finish that colouring. And because I want to come off the edges of the paper, I've just popped a bit of scrap paper underneath, because you don't want to come off onto your craft surface, because it will stain it. It's alcohol markers. If you do make a mistake, like I've just got a little bit of the dark teal on that leaf there that I didn't want there, I'm just going to go over that with the lighter colour, and it does kind of push some of that away. So as long as it's just a small mistake, you can often kind of get rid of it that way. So then I'm going to add some foam tape behind there. So we've got our card front with a hot foiled sentiment on it. And I really love hot foil for adding that bit of glamour. I think it looks really kind of opulent. And then I'm going to add this at the bottom. And then I think that looks really pretty. So now we've got our 3 finished cards, all showing different ways of getting that really lovely, opulent, kind of more expensive look to your cards. Please do let me know which is your favourite in the comments below. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's video and that it's given you some ideas for creating your own cards. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.